You've probably heard of Tadalafil. It's one of the most widely prescribed and trusted medications for treating erectile dysfunction, and for countless men around the world, it's been a genuine game changer. But what happens when it doesn't seem to work the way you expect? You take the pill, you wait for the right time, and when the moment for intimacy finally arrives, the result is underwhelming. Maybe nothing happens at all, or perhaps the erection isn't as firm, strong, or long-lasting as you'd hope. It can be frustrating, discouraging, and often confusing, leaving you with the sinking feeling that the medication has failed you. But here's the truth. In many cases, the problem isn't the pill itself. The issue lies in other powerful factors that can completely undermine its effects, and unless you recognize and address them, even the best medication may fall short. Today I want to talk about the 3 most common erection blockers that reduce the effectiveness of Tadalafil. Understanding these factors is the first step toward overcoming them, giving the medication the best possible chance to work for you, and helping you reclaim the confidence and satisfaction you deserve. Before we explore what can stop Tadalafil from working, it's important to understand how it's supposed to work in the first place. Many men think of it as an automatic switch, as if swallowing the pill alone will instantly trigger an erection. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Tadalafil belongs to a class of drugs known as PDE5 inhibitors. In simple terms, its job is to relax smooth muscles and widen the blood vessels in the penis, a process called vasodilation. When these blood vessels expand, more blood can flow into the erectile tissue, creating and sustaining the firmness needed for intimacy. A helpful way to think about it is like upgrading the plumbing in your house. Old, narrow pipes limit the flow of water, but replace them with new, wider ones, and suddenly the flow is smooth, steady, and strong. Tadalafil acts like that upgrade. It makes it easier for blood to reach where it needs to go. But here's the key. Even the best plumbing won't deliver water unless you actually turn on the faucet. In this analogy, turning on the faucet represents the signal from your brain that it's time to be aroused. Tadalafil does not create that signal. It doesn't generate desire or automatically produce an erection out of thin air. What it does is enhance your body's natural response once the arousal signal has been sent. In other words, it's not the pilot, it's the co-pilot. And that brings us to the very first and often overlooked reason Tadalafil may not seem to work: a lack of adequate sexual stimulation. The medication sets the stage, but the performance still needs a spark. Your brain has to give the green light, and that green light is aroused. Without it, the widened blood vessels are like empty pipes with no water flowing through them. This means you can't just take a pill, sit on the couch watching the evening news, and expect a magical result. Your body needs a reason to redirect blood flow to the penis, and that reason comes from stimulation, both psychological and physical. Psychological stimulation includes the erotic thoughts, fantasies, and emotional connection that create desire in your mind. It's about being mentally engaged in the moment, tuned into your partner, or even into your own imagination. But if your head is full of stress, distractions, or worry, that signal weakens. Your brain simply doesn't tell your body it's time to respond. Physical stimulation is equally important. Touch, kissing, foreplay, and playful exploration all serve as triggers that reinforce arousal, creating a feedback loop between your brain and body. These experiences send strong signals that it's time to prepare for intimacy, allowing Tadalafil to do its job. So, if you find yourself frustrated, the first question to ask is, am I truly creating an environment of arousal? Is my mind present? Is my body engaged? And am I allowing desire to build? Without that, the best medication in the world is like a high-performance engine that never gets switched on. The second major factor that can sabotage Tadalafil's effectiveness is fear, specifically performance anxiety. Your mind is incredibly powerful, and the emotions you feel don't just stay in your head, they translate into immediate physical responses. Here's how it happens. When you begin to worry about whether you'll perform well, whether you'll be able to stay hard, or whether you'll satisfy your partner, your brain perceives this as a kind of threat. That triggers your body's fight-or-flight response, a primal survival mechanism that floods your system with adrenaline. Adrenaline's job is to prepare you for danger, and one of the ways it does that is by constricting blood vessels. It narrows them so more blood is available for your big muscles, like your arms and legs, enabling you to fight or run. Now, do you see the conflict? Tadalafil is working to widen your blood vessels, creating vasodilation, while adrenaline is working to narrow them, creating vasoconstriction. Your body receives two completely opposite instructions at the same time. It's like pressing the accelerator and the brake pedal in your car simultaneously. And which signal wins? Most often the fear response. Because as far as your brain is concerned, protecting you from danger, even the imagined danger of failure, is more important than sustaining an erection. This is why so many men report being aroused, taking the pill, and even feeling like it's working, only to lose their erection as soon as a worried thought crosses their mind. The medication is doing its job, but the adrenaline surge from anxiety overrides it. That's why managing your mental state is just as important as taking the pill. Now, overcoming performance anxiety is a big topic on its own, but simply recognizing its power is an important first step. When you understand that your erection depends not only on chemistry, but also on your emotional state, you begin to see why sometimes Tadalafil feels inconsistent. Your thoughts matter, your confidence matters. And the more you work on calming your mind and building reassurance, the more effective your treatment becomes. For many men, this realization is life-changing because it shifts the focus from "the pill failed me" to "I need to create the right conditions for the pill to succeed." But there's another common factor many men overlook, and it can quietly undo all of Tadalafil's benefits: alcohol. It's incredibly common to have a drink to loosen up, ease nerves, or set the mood before intimacy. But when you're relying on medication for an erection, alcohol is not your friend. That's because alcohol is a central nervous system depressant, which means it slows down communication between your brain and body. The nerve signals that normally travel swiftly, triggering arousal and coordinating blood flow, become sluggish and less efficient. Imagine trying to have an important phone call while there's static on the line. The message might still get through eventually, but it will be weak, delayed, and distorted. That's what alcohol does to the arousal process. Even a moderate amount can dull your senses, lower your level of desire, and weaken the physical responses Tadalafil is trying to enhance. So while the pill is working to amplify stimulation, alcohol is muffling it. It becomes a tug of war between a stimulant effect and a depressant effect, and in many cases, alcohol wins, leaving you with little or no result. To make matters worse, alcohol also reduces testosterone over time, affects sleep quality, and increases dehydration, all of which compound erectile difficulties. This doesn't mean you can never enjoy a drink, but it does mean that if intimacy is on the horizon and you want Tadalafil to work at its best, minimizing or avoiding alcohol is one of the simplest and most effective steps you can take. So let's bring all of this together. If you've ever taken Tadalafil and felt disappointed, don't immediately assume the pill has failed you. Instead, ask yourself whether one of these three powerful blockers might be at play. First, are you giving your body the stimulation it needs, mentally, emotionally, and physically, to start the process? Remember, the faucet has to be turned on. Second, are you battling performance anxiety that floods your system with adrenaline and cancels out the medication's effect? Fear is a stronger signal than chemistry if it goes unaddressed. And third, are you unintentionally sabotaging your results with alcohol, slowing down the very communication your body relies on to respond to arousal? When you start to see these connections, you stop viewing Tadalafil as a magic switch and start treating it as part of a larger equation, an equation that involves your mind, your body, and your choice. Of course, it's always important to talk to your doctor because the right dosage, timing, and awareness of underlying health conditions matter too. But once those are in place, your results depend heavily on the environment you create. The good news is, all three blockers are things you can influence. You can cultivate stimulation by being intentional with foreplay, by reducing distractions, and by reconnecting emotionally with your partner. You can ease anxiety by shifting focus away from performance and toward connection, by practicing relaxation techniques, and by building trust over time. And you can minimize alcohol when it matters most, giving your nervous system a clear channel for the signals Tadalafil is designed to amplify. When you combine the science of the pill with the awareness of these real-world factors, you finally unlock its full potential. You stop asking "why didn't it work" and start asking "what can I do to help it work better?" That shift in perspective is empowering, puts you back in control, reminding you that while Tadalafil is an incredibly valuable tool, the most important part of the equation has always been you, your mind, your body, and your willingness to create the right conditions for success. And when those pieces come together, the results can be life-changing, not only for your confidence in the bedroom, but for the quality of intimacy in your relationship.